Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a reality that, honestly, most of us try really hard to ignore. It's a deeply uncomfortable truth. You see, we constantly chase peace, right? And we claim we finally found it when the world just goes quiet. But what if the vast majority of the time, what you're calling peace is actually something far, far more dangerous? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and dissect the anatomy of growth.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You are not at peace, you are standing still. There's a massive, literally life-altering difference between those two things. You might think you're relaxed, but really, you've just stopped moving entirely. We toss around the phrase, "Oh, I'm fine," like it's a shield. It's just what we repeat out loud so we don't have to listen to the stark silence when the screens turn off and we are left completely alone with our own thoughts.
And here is where the true conflict really lives. That thing you call tranquility, it's simply anesthesia. Which you call balance, it's paralysis. We dress our stagnation up in these comforting, positive words just to hide the harsh, intense reality from ourselves. We convince ourselves that we're being prudent, maintaining control. But by choosing this artificial, numbing balance, you're actually making yourself invisible. You're completely numbing yourself to the wild, brilliant life you could be living.
So let's look at Section 1, La Anatomia de la Atrofia, the anatomy of atrophy.
See, nature has this non-negotiable rule. Whatever is not used is inevitably lost. It's simple biology. The muscle you don't put a load on, it atrophies. The bone you don't impact, it weakens. The brain you don't challenge just shuts down. The heart that doesn't break hardens. The voice you don't use becomes frail. And that bravery you refuse to train, it simply disappears. Your body absolutely knows this, and trust me, your mind knows it too.
Which brings us to this incredibly visceral metaphor. The comfort zone is a slow operating room. Comfort isn't some safe haven or a cozy refuge. No, it's a sterile, clinical environment methodically cutting away the parts of you that remain unused. And honestly, the absolute worst part about it, because it doesn't hurt all at once, you don't even realize the surgery is happening until it is way too late. The atrophy just slowly creeps in and ends up feeling exactly like peace.
You are as still as those taxidermy animals in a museum. Intact on the outside, sure, but dead for years on the inside. When someone points this out, your first instinct is probably to get defensive, to protect that comfort. But that flash of anger, it isn't because you're being lied to. It flares up because deep down in your gut, you know it's the absolute truth. So, why does another person's achievement sting so much? Come on, you know that exact feeling. It's the hidden, suffocating weight of unfulfilled potential. When someone tells you about their big win and you feel that weird, sharp sting, that dark envy you wouldn't dare say out loud, that is just your own buried ambition screaming at you. But here is an absolutely crucial reframe. Unfulfilled potential is not depressing, it's information. When you're sitting alone in the silence and your mind drags you right to the exact place where you betrayed your own goals, it's not trying to depress you. It's actually your greater self, staring you right in the eye, letting you know that you are actively choosing not to meet them. It is pure, actionable data. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the exact mechanics of how we fail. It's never just one giant mistake. It's a subtle series of micro decisions. Step 1, you say, I'll do it tomorrow. Step 2, you keep quiet. Step 3, you just wait forever. Every single time you run this script, you're training your brain to prioritize the familiar over what is true. And every single repetition buries you just a little bit deeper.
Which naturally leads us to Section 2, Mecánica sobre motivación, mechanics over motivation.
Look, what pulls you out of the dark isn't some fleeting burst of motivation. It's the pure mechanics of escape. Move your body, press yourself, demand action from yourself, even when the desire to do it is entirely absent. You have to stop settling for that familiar, seductive mediocrity that your environment dictates. You have to commit to clawing your way out of the hole, treating it as if your very life depends on it. Because honestly, it does.
Moving right along to Section 3, La Física del Crecimiento, the physics of growth.
And this brilliantly illustrates that natural law. Picture a tree grown inside a perfectly protected greenhouse. No wind, no stress. It never grows deep roots because it simply doesn't need to. But out in the wild, a tree fighting chaotic, intense wind is forced to grow massive, unbreakable roots just to survive. The wind isn't destroying it. The wind is the exact force that makes it strong.
So the real takeaway here, Chaos is not your enemy. It is a nutrient. Your body, your mind, your entire character, they operate exactly like that wild tree. Character only grows with risk. Discomfort isn't some sort of punishment. It's literally the only form of real training that exists. That tension and uncertainty, that is the exact atmosphere where the absolute best version of you breathes and thrives.
Which means we have to completely redefine what fear is. Fear is your personal guide to freedom. It is a moral obligation to your ultimate self. If you are terrified to confront someone or terrified to put your work out into the light, that fear is not a stop sign. It's a compass. It is the precise indicator pointing exactly toward what you must do next.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 4, El precio de evolucionar, the price of evolution.
Blood, sweat, tears, and yeah, feeling like a total idiot. Look, the path of growth is not glamorous. It's agonizingly slow. It is packed with sacrifice. You're going to fail at small things, you're going to fail at huge things, and there will be moments you desperately just want to turn back. You'll feel this profound, terrifying dread that you are making a massive mistake. But that terror, it is the clearest possible sign that you're finally exploring unknown territory.
Let's move to this and see how it builds into the fabric of our everyday lives. Hitting snooze 20 times versus actually waking up early. Melting into the couch versus doing the intense work. Keeping something as a safe little idea in your head versus actually building the project. The difference between evolving into your ultimate self and completely fading into the background, it lies entirely in these small, sustained, high-stakes daily choices.
Because here is the brutal, honest truth. You are going to suffer anyway. So why not suffer to grow? The pain of discipline and the pain of regret both hurt incredibly badly, but only one of them builds an unstoppable mind. The other is just the slow, quiet death of comfort. The choice is absolutely yours. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.